go. Apple may be a little.
Okay, it is now 5 o'clock. I will call the meeting of the WISD Board of Trustees to order. Please let the record show that all 7 trustees are in attendance. This meeting has been duly called and notice of the meeting has been duly posted for time and manner required by law. At this time, we will go into closed session according to section 551.001 et sec of the Texas Government Code. It is now 5 p.m. First item on our agenda would be our invocation given by Ms. Timmerman, followed by our pledges by Mr. Starnader.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you. Thank you for this wonderful district that we're all a part of. And thank you for the many, many ways you bless our school district every day. I ask that you be with us tonight as we discuss and make decisions that will benefit our students and our staff. We ask you especially tonight, Father, in this cold weather, that you be with all of our unfortunate school families that may not have heat, may not have gone home to a warm supper. Please be with them. Let them know that they're not alone, that we're praying for them and we're hoping their situation gets better. Also be with all those that are grieving, have lost loved ones. Be with them and comfort them. We ask these things in thy name. Amen.
Please stand.
Okay, Ms. Bridges, we have anyone signed up for our open forum? Okay. All right, next item on our agenda is our HR report. Ms. James, this ought to be pretty quick.
Good evening, Board. I would like to ask that you approve the personnel report as recommended by the superintendent.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the HR report as discussed in closed session.
I move to approve the HR report.
Got a motion by Mr. McCutcheon, second by Mr. Schofield. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Okay. Next item will be our recognitions. Ms. Bridges, we have a few tonight, correct?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Board. Tonight, we are so excited to recognize some students in our district who are doing some amazing things. First, we have a group of students who have made achievements in the National Merit Program. So as I call your name, please step up. Gabriel Garcia is a senior at Global High School. He is a National Merit Commended student. Gabriel is interested in research and how things work and enjoys studying math concepts, as do I. He is looking at joining the military after graduation. Josh Garcia, is Josh here, is a senior. If you want to turn around and face the audience, you are more than welcome to do that. They can get some pictures of you. Josh Garcia is a senior at Global High School. He is currently #1 in his class. Josh is a National Hispanic Scholar. He enjoys aquascaping and watching old and foreign movies, and he hopes to attend Emory University in Georgia through the Quest Bridge program. Travis Miller? Not here, okay. Travis is a senior at Global High School. He's currently #19 in his class. He's a National Merit Commended student. He enjoys learning new languages and is part of the Global Philosophical Society. He has already been accepted at UT Austin and is hoping to be accepted at Cornell or Princeton. Another student that couldn't be with us tonight is Rebecca Ramirez, who is a senior at Waxahachie High School. She is currently ranked #1 in her class. She's a National Merit Scholarship qualifier, is an active volunteer in our community, and is currently president of the Spanish Honor Society. She also participates in UIL academic competition and is involved with the WHS Theater Department, which is where she is this evening. Finally, Bennett Rhodes. Not here? Okay. Bennett's a senior at Global High School. He's currently #6 in the class. He's a National Merit Commended student, enjoys ready writing, and plans to attend Texas Tech after graduation and major in industrial engineering. Please join me in congratulating these students. Also this evening, we'd like to recognize a student who just got back from the state cross-country meet. Where's Emma Curry? Oh, there you are. Hi, Emma. This was Emma's second trip to state. Is that right? Okay. This season, Emma broke the 5K school record with a time of 18:23.2 and the 3-mile school record with a time of 17:34.3. She placed in the top 15 finishers in 3 of the biggest races in the state and was the district champion for the 3rd year in a row. Emma placed 8th at the regional championship and was the captain to a 7th place team at the regional championship, which was the team's 2nd best finish in school history. Congratulations, Emma. Coach, you want to come up and get in the picture? We're going to get Coach Taylor first. Mom, you want to go first? All right, one more. Sorry. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, board.
This is not on our agenda, but we have one more recognition that I want to recognize. Today's a special day for our country. Today's Veterans Day. We have anybody in the audience that has served or is currently serving. Would you please stand and be recognized so we can thank you? Thank you very much. Okay, next item on our agenda is our board workshop. The first review of local policy changes.
Contact, first we always talk to Mr. Augenstein because he's our on location policy person. This is the woman behind the man.
And very, very excited to have Carolyn Austin with us this evening. Carolyn is our policy consultant, and she led our local policy review session. We had 2 fun-filled days with Carolyn here in the district, but she took a look at an exhaustive look at our local policies, sent a questionnaire to us, and she'll be giving you some information regarding the work she did with us to come forward with recommendations for some policy changes separate and apart from the traditional update service that TASB also provides. And Carolyn is always available to me and to anyone else in the district when we have questions or need to tweak policy. So we're real fortunate to have a great relationship with her, and very fortunate that she came up from Austin this evening to present you information regarding our update.
And I just want to point out, since I came from the South, I didn't bring the weather with me. So you can't blame me for that. Let's see if I can do this. Just a couple of words about TASB and what TASB does generally for folks in the audience.
project manager is, this is not, the reason go ahead, Mr. Perry, you can start that when you get, this is how, if Mr. Craig was here, he would be Mr. Craig, I know you're watching on TV, and Jacob Perry is showing that you can't be here because of
I'm surprised he didn't want to be Skyped in to give me
I
a
know,
report.
he's probably here. Michael, we know you're watching. So this is the updated version of Michael Craig?
Yes, ma'am. This is a younger version of Michael Craig.
Did you hear that, Michael?
To say that this would be a whole lot, it'd be a lot different if Michael was presenting. I was telling Mr. Autry on the way in, I said, I've got his report, and I was looking at it, and there's not any notes, because you know where his notes are, and he said, right here, and you're exactly right. So I don't know what he's thinking on a lot of this, but I'll give you my best interpretation of Mr. Craig's report for Max Simpson Elementary and the agri-science building that's going up. If you haven't drove by either one of them, I know you really can't miss either one of them. Simpson's kind of tucked away back there in that little neighborhood, and I drive down North Grove and 813 every day because I live there, and man, it's different every day. A lot of concrete being poured, a lot of iron being hung and put up. We're on track. Can I switch it, or do I just? All right. So this picture right here is actually a little older. There's been a lot more done. I mean, every time I drive by there, where did I hit? Because it's on time. There we go. So looking here, what we got is the back service drive. And this back service drive is that chip seal road that the county's going to put in for us to where we can access the backside of the cafeteria. So if you're looking at these doors here, you're looking at part of the gymnasium and the cafeteria. This specifically is the cafeteria entrance in the service bay. So the picture on the left is going into the fire riser rooms, which where all the main water will come into for the fire suppression system and our water for the building, and also have the electrical room. The entry on the left side is going into the kitchen. So if you're looking from those doors out, that's the picture you see on the right. And that right there is where we're going to have that temporary road built for the time being that all of our service vehicles, which would be deliveries and such, will be going into. We've got floor deck up, a lot of roof deck on, and you can see we have some infrastructure going in on the bottom floors. We've got the kindergarten first wing going up, and I'd be willing to bet right now that it's pretty close to being dry. And once that happens, you folks that know a little bit about schools going up, it starts flying. Somebody was asking us today if I thought we were on track, and Michael was with us. He came to our meeting this morning. As soon as it dries in, it just starts happening. So we're in good shape with Max Simpson. On to the ag science. That was the one that everybody sees driving back and forth on 287. And it has come a long way. It was real fun watching those rafters go up. Go by one day, 2 are up. You go by the next day and 25 are up, and then the walls are going up. And it's almost like a Lego building going up. It's so quick. And we made a lot of progress on that. Cattle guards are in, a lot of concrete around it. We've got walls going up for the cattle area and the arena. Wash bay walls are up. Clay, you're the one that told me about those going up, looking good.
I think as of today, most of the block is done on the whole.
Yeah. So they're going to have walls going up from the block all the way up to the ceiling on one side, and the front side, we're going to have some rooms with flat storage space on top of them to access to maximize, because there's not just a ton of closets built in there. So we'll have storage on top of these rooms up front. Michael always has his cool little interjections into his reports. And this is really neat. He came by one day and showed me this. He actually made this, designed it, and this is a tool. He's made 2 of them for that company. They've used them to put the roof panels together. They've been trying to pull them together themselves and using ratchet straps or whatnot. This little device, he went over to Global. He had his design. They used a water saw and cut it, and they've used it every time he comes in and tells me about the boys over there putting them together, and they said it's so much easier with this. And I told them to patent it, and then remember that I gave him an idea to patent
The Perry Craig ratchet.
it. Global's claiming
Perry Craig
50%. But I think everything's looking good on time. Weather's always either your enemy or your best friend. Right now, talking to him this morning, asking him if he had any concerns, he says, no, the only one maybe would be getting that temporary road in, because that's going to be a major access point for supplies and materials coming in the building project for Simpson. But other than that, we're looking really good. I'm done. Yes, ma'am.
Any questions for Mr. Perry?
If you have any questions, I can take them down and answer you tomorrow.
And ask Michael.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Perry.
Yes, ma'am.
As Mr. Morgan makes his way up, I just want to remind the board that we have campuses that have focuses.
Do you want to go ahead and do your presentation on the roofs, and then we'll have Mr. Morgan come up?
Sure, if that's fine.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
All right. Hopefully y'all took a look at the big three roof leak update. And, this is something that's been, the day I walked into this job and was told, if you can get this fixed, you will be a hero. And literally since the day I took this position, I've talked weekly, reached out weekly to old contractors, to roofing companies. I've walked these roofs. And if you all know me, I have a degree in biology and was a principal for most of my career before this. So walking on roofs really was not my expertise, and I'm getting pretty good at it. But when you look at the big three roof problems, just give you a quick update. We came to you a few months ago with a company called Parsons Roofing. Dr. Kane's familiar with them. It's they're from the Waco area. I was put onto them by my old boss, and as soon as they came in, they really showed up. And Mr. Autry said it'd be the best $4,000 we've ever spent. And he is right, because they came, they put elastomeric on it, didn't work. Called them, told them, hey, it didn't work. They came back out, and they, can you hit F5 on there? Well, I'm just trying to get it to go through. They came back out, and they applied a product called Duralast. And the problem that we're having, not to give you all the 101 on roofing, but when you have two slopes come together, they create a thing called a valley. And those valleys have been overcome with water. And that's where the water's been coming in there and around smoke hatches. Well, they've applied this Duralast compound on all the valleys with the exception of one right now. And just a quick overview of what we got is, if you take a look at your report I gave you, there's attention given to smoke hatches at Clift and a long valley along the way where the waterfall feature was at. And they're dry. And they've been dry over the last couple of rains. We did have a couple of new leaks pop up in areas that weren't reported before. And guess what? Parsons is coming back out. So it's been a really good partnership with them. Howard, the big issue there, especially I remember going in there many a times as a principal, and acoustic tiles getting so wet they're falling down, water coming in. Howard's dry. They applied elastomeric patch all along that entire valley there. Felty had big issues back in the music room, basically the same issues that Cliff did, and right now we have reports that they're dry. So it's looking good. It's looking real good. So I'm happy about that. I'm happy about us fixing some things at Turner. It's been a good week. So if you have any questions on the roofing, I'll be glad to answer those at this time.
Any questions for Mr. Perry?
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna tell you. I was either going to fix it or it was going to fix me.
Well, but there's actually, just to add to what Mr. Perry's doing, there has been an odor at Turner, my understanding since it began, that there is, well, Mr. Perry was committed after he found out it's been going on years and years and years. He's been trying everything imaginable, and finally, this weekend, they did a smoke test, and what'd you
Yes.
find?
We found, so we did a smoke test, and I've talked to envelope engineers, plumbers, and we have been going through this checklist that all these different people are telling me to do, and we're doing it. And I'm sitting there thinking, there's got to be a leak somewhere for it to be this bad. And so we bought a smoke machine, and we performed the smoke test Saturday morning first thing, and literally the guys got everything ready at 7, and they were going to get there at 8 and start. I got there at 8:10, and they had already found a leak, and they found a 3-inch vent line which comes straight from the bathrooms out through a vent through the ceiling that had a fitting on it that was not even on. So you have a 3-inch line that was open behind the brick wall going up, feeding into the ceiling cavity between the roof deck and the suspended ceiling. So that nice smell was infiltrating that area and getting sucked in by the air handlers and pushed back into the rooms. And that area was really where there was a renovation back in 2016, and that's the only thing we can find on paper is that's when maybe that work was performed. But it all traces back to about 4 years ago is when people said, yes, it's been kind of this constant lingering smell for the last 4 years. And it came and go with intensity. And I was over there to witness it, and it was pretty bad. So we are very, very, very happy with
Well, no,
that.
we're very, very grateful to you because you were dogged about fixing that and that roof, and thank you for being a junkyard dog.
Yes, ma'am. Thank y'all.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Morgan.
As Mr. Morgan makes his way up, all of our elementaries have a focus or a theme, not that they don't do the usual curriculum, but for example, Turner, Dunaway, and Wedge are dual language campuses. Capturing kids' hearts are themes at Marvin and Cliff. Felty has a leadership theme for its students. Northside is in a very important grant to have blended learning. They would like that to be their theme, is to be the first blended learning. And of course, Wildman is our STEAM Academy. So when we're looking at Simpson, all the finalizations we're trying to get on every decision, there'd been a lot of questions because we're such a fine arts district to look at what would a fine arts focus look at in elementary school. And so Mr. Morgan is going to describe what that would look like.
Indeed. Board, good evening. Dr. Kane. This is just, again, a brief overview, as Dr. Kane stated, of what a fine arts focused campus would look like. I know we certainly push the arts in our district, and we're very successful in that, K through 12. This is an overview of specifically what it would look like to take a specific focus to fine arts, not the traditional focus. So if you'll just go through, you might ask yourself a couple questions to kind of overview this. First of all, what comprises elementary fine arts? Most of you know, but just as a quick overview, TEA currently has TEKS for fine arts programs of study in music, theater arts, and visual arts. And you might not know that dance recently articulated TEKS for the junior high level, but they have not established those standards for K-5 yet. So movement TEKS are typically supported through music education and PE at the elementary level. Currently in WISD, students in grade 5 rotate through a cycle of what they call specials courses, which include sometimes visual art, music, computers, library, and physical education. Currently at our campuses, WISD supports 1 FTE for music at each campus and 1 FTE for visual arts, with the exception of Turner Pre-K, which allocates 2 paraprofessional positions for that rotation. Campus teachers, including music and art, are responsible for integrating theater TEKS in the curriculum. So to kind of summarize that, all of our campuses have music and art, but in terms of theater and dance, the campus classroom teacher for science, math, social studies, ELA, they are integrating theater into their campus or into their instruction, or at least that's what they're supposed to do a couple times a year to make sure that we meet as many of those TEKS as possible. Theater is integrated into lessons, as I mentioned, but we don't currently hold that FTE role at the campuses. So now you might be asking yourself, well, what would fine arts focus look like at Simpson Elementary? Well, it's similar but with a fine arts focus. And what that means and what it would look like would be this. The campus mission, the CIP, and the goals would place a unique focus on academic achievement and mastery through visual and performing arts, including leadership development and communication with our students. Students in K-5 would rotate similarly through a cycle of specials, but this would include certified instruction in visual art and music, like we have on all the other campuses, but also in theater arts, which means that Max Simpson Elementary would support 1 FTE for music, an FTE for visual arts, and we would hire a theater arts instructor at the elementary level to support the K-5 TEKS, which would be unique to Simpson Elementary. Dance would still be instructed, but like our other campuses, it would be instructed and integrated through the physical education department. And at this campus, of course, it would be supplemented through music, visual arts, and theater as well. Campus teachers in traditional academic classes, as I mentioned earlier, typically teach fine arts, they integrate them, but this specific campus would receive unique training and professional development on arts integration. It would be heavily involved in integrating the arts through education strategies and the events of fine arts and leadership on that campus. And then finally, visual arts, music, and theater students would develop performance and leadership-based strategies as they go through their annual events at the campus. So you might also then ask, what is arts integration? Well, in a brief nutshell, arts integration is a teaching approach of learning through which the content and standards in normal STEM courses are assessed equitably in and through the arts. Or in other words, I'm teaching math in my classroom, but I'm utilizing the arts and professional communication to help students get excited and motivated and tying that back into their STEM curriculum, which creates a STEAM effect, which, like we have at Wildman, is excellent. This specifically, though, would focus with theater and music and visual arts while we do that. In terms of arts integration, there's really kind of 5 components to arts integration. One is student buy-in, and I want to read you the principles, but think of it this way, I'll shorten them. Student buy-in becomes more active when students are engaged in what they're doing, and fine arts typically brings a really fun environment at the K-5 level to really get students interested in all of their STEM courses. It also fosters critical thinking skills. It yields an equitable learning environment. It pulls connective learning together as a pathway, especially through differentiation of learning. Some students just don't work when you go through basic math instruction, but sometimes when you pull really neat stories into it and you make it literature focused through fine arts, kids get involved. And sometimes you're not necessarily strong achievers in your math and your ELA will be more motivated to do those complex problems and write more efficiently when they're introduced in a fun, exciting way through music and through theater and through visual arts. And finally, obviously, it empowers your instructors because instead of having to teach it the normal way, they're still achieving the TEKS, but they get a little bit of liberty and leverage to be able to teach it with arts, and they get to collaborate with their art teacher, their music teacher, their dance instructor, their theater instructor, to find cool ways to get students up, to get them moving, to get them integrated into the arts. And then obviously there's what I just explained a minute ago. It helps students analyze artwork, it helps them tell stories through dance and movement. They experiment with sound in their band program, or their music program. They have some reflective journaling through, because when they hear all the stories, they learn to be creative, independent writers. And then finally, we supplement their creative writing and their ELA through dramatic tableau and play. Just a couple of things, and I'm going to flip these so you can see all of them. What would you do on a fine arts focused campus? Well, a couple of things actually in terms of
the impress.
Okay, so the Impress one at the very top is something I kind of came up with, and I can't steal all the glory because one of the similar districts that I know does this. They do it in a very similar format, but it's called the Impress. And I kind of came up with this. It's basically an interview competition for students to teach them how to have good, solid conversation and soft skills. And it's kind of a little speaking competition where it's about 2 minutes long. A student in the 5th grade would come in, learn how to shake hands confidently, make good, solid eye contact, and sit with adults and possibly even some of our high school students and have a valid conversation and learn how to have good communication skills to help them in the workforce. Now, granted, these are elementary students, but how valuable is it when we teach our students the soft skills of being able to come up to adults, have meaningful conversations, respectful conversations, and move forward in that? So that would be one of the things we do on the campus. Obviously, we'd have seasonal art shows, elementary one-act play festival, with a theater teacher kind of comes with that territory, and we've been invited to a couple of elementary one-act play contests. We would have a campus drum line. We would certainly push the arts in terms of local performances, partnering with our high school, which is very successful, and then Reader's Theater and Puppet Theater study. Lots of different opportunities there.
So I think it's unique that so many campuses have different themes, and I think it's a good thing that we have a variety because it just makes the district richer in its offerings. So unless there's an objection, I'd like to move forward in working with Ms. Mott on how we would do this, more details into the fine arts focus. Obviously, as we do decals and designs inside the building, we'd be putting up things with a fine arts focus. And again, this is just kind of, and as we grow as a district, we're going to be looking at different things like this that I think would be well received by the community and give everyone,
Oh, I just have a quick question. You mentioned another school. Talk to us about some other districts that are.
Yes,
or do you
absolutely.
know?
I'll give credit where credit is due. I spoke to a good friend of mine who's the director of fine arts in Keller ISD. Keller ISD has already implemented this. They've already piloted it. They started out and began with 5 campuses. They piloted theater education and hiring their elementary theater teachers. And that 5 turned into, I believe now she said there's 5 that started out, and it's gone to all the campuses except for 3. And they kind of started a top-down model in terms of sizing because of the regions within Keller ISD and the way they break it up. But Keller does it. They do Keller Shake, which is very similar to what I kind of thought about. That would be really great to do, but also kind of want to put our unique kind of spin on it too. As far as like Waxahachie, and we can change things up. It's not an official contest, but Keller's doing that. Denton ISD has branched out a little bit, and Grand Prairie ISD has taken a little bit more unique. They're more focused on specific academies and things like that, but ours is more just a fine arts focus to be able to integrate some theater education and help arts education there.
And so the difference would be, instead of them going to computer literacy, you have to have a certain number of special classes so the teachers can have the conference period. And traditionally, we've been using computer classes, which you really don't want to be teaching technology in a separate class. That should be integrated in the classroom. So that would be the theater class. And so it would entail one extra teacher than you would have on another campus. It would be the theater teacher, but we would not have the computer literacy. And that's the classroom it would actually go in, the computer literacy classroom. We'll put the computers somewhere else. But that would be the dance classroom, or a dance, drama, art, music.
Yep, drama, yep.
But it would be an additional teacher to have drama. We've just not had that at the elementary schools, and
the state does, like I said, of the 3 in the state, like I said, we're currently supporting 2. To be able to pilot that would be a huge advantage to our district too, because I know that we're very successful at high school theater arts as well. Junior high is very strong too. So being able to supplement that on all levels truly will make us a more well-rounded campus and district.
Thank you very much, Mr. Morgan. Okay, next item on the agenda, required update for legislative changes to Public Funds Investment Act. Mr. Calden?
hang on, this is a very exciting report.
Well, you just oversold it. Board, on 118, you'll see the update from University of North Texas, their Center for Public Management. We're required to give you an update on Public Funds Investment Act trainings. There were 2 bills this legislative session. First one changes up what we're allowed to invest in. They've added corporate bonds and extended the maturity for commercial paper from 270 days or fewer to 365 or fewer. For the most part, we do not invest in commercial paper, and we probably will not start investing in commercial bonds anytime soon. The second piece of legislation that was passed removes the continuing education requirements if your district is only invested in an FDIC-insured financial depository institution and certificates of deposit. That pretty much is where we are right now between pools and CDs. That being said, we are not going to stop our continuing ed. We're going to keep going. It's 8 hours every 2 years, so we'll keep doing that. That way we're staying current on it in case we do change our investment strategy, but with interest rates where they are right now, not a whole lot of spread and yield in there for us to be chasing with these other type of investments. So just wanted to give you that update and as required by law.
Any questions for Mr. Calden on his exciting presentation?
Hey, it was short though.
I will give you that. Thank you very much. Okay, next item, we have rezoning update. Dr. Kane?
Yes, sir. I appreciate the board's hard work. It's always difficult to rezone, even when the board doesn't have a choice whether or not rezones. As it grows, you have to rezone to get students into the new facilities. I heard the board clearly that you wanted a lot of input from the community, not only just in the evenings, but you wanted one of them during the day so staff could come. We've set them up. Bridges is working on that. We will make certain that all the comments and everyone who comes to speak, that those are recorded, and as you have requested, you wanted a copy of all the comments in a timely manner so you could review them and consider anything we can't think of or something that, just to get the impact from the community. We've got that set up. And Ms. Bridges is going to, have you put out the dates yet? Okay, the dates are out there because we want the community, the board is very clear that you wanted the community to have a lot of time to plan to come to those meetings so that everyone who was going to give input could. We will get that information to you. As soon as the board comes up with, we're going to ask you to come up with a few different versions. The other night, you were playing with the screen. Would you move this here and you move there? I could tell how frustrated you were because there's not a good plan. There's not a plan that doesn't cause angst. So how many ever we come up with, or the number that we come up with, we will take to the community. If it's 2 or 3, let's just say 3, we will have big boards. We will have a small color paper so you can tell where the boundaries are. We will get that input. My goal is still possibly if we could make a decision in February so that parents will know that and know where their child will be going is the plan. And that's the update unless there's something to add or something I wasn't clear on.
Yes, sir, Ms. Bridges?
Okay. And so then I would think at the February meeting, after that review, is when we would hopefully get, or the board may say, we need a new plan. See, what I suspect is you'll get enough feedback that we may have a 4th plan.
And we'll make sure that those are on our website as well and easily found.
We will.
We already have a rezoning on the website. It's under Support WISD and it's rezoning 2020. So right now it's just the.
Under construction.
Well, it was updates up there. But it's, yeah, this trend gets us those maps. Those will go up there and we'll make sure it's recorded.
But at the December special meeting, that would give you a chance to look at those maps again, because just because he listened to what you said, sometimes whenever you look at them again, they don't look as good, or you may have thought of something different.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Thank you very much. All right, item E, update regarding notifications to parents for non-communicative students of certain personnel concerns. Mr. Alvenshine?
Thank you, Mr. President. At your most recent meeting in October, we had heard a Level 3 appeal, and as a result of the Level 3 appeal, it asked administration to bring you a policy or guideline to address the means by which we notify parents of non-communicative students in the event an educator is accused of misconduct and that educator has some impact or some regular interaction with the students that are non-communicative. Prior to the hearing, we had received advice from TASB Legal Services and the board's retained counsel. What administration has provided you on pages 122 and 123 of your board book is an attempted balance between the guidance that the district has received and the board's stated goal of going a little bit beyond the requirements of FFF local to ensure that we notify parents of non-communicative students in the event there's an allegation of misconduct and that employee is placed on administrative leave due to those allegations, that we would notify those parents of non-communicative students in addition to the parents of the affected student.
Any questions for Mr. Alvenshine?
I just have one and a comment. Thank you. I think this is excellent. My question is, the people that we talked to that evening, will they be communicated with so that they know that we followed through?
Actually, before the meeting, the parents reached out to Dr. Kane, and Dr. Kane has communicated with the parents the language, the proposed policy. I don't know that we received further comment, but
Are you suggesting we might send the complainant, I don't want to use names, the person who filed the complaint, the letter? There were people with her, but I'm not certain of, do we know all 4 people who were there?
Well, it'll be on the record because they know, stated their
Okay,
name.
that we mailed that to those 4 people, is that what, I mean, that we write a nice,
We just
you know.
kinda in response
We
to-
heard you, thank you, here's what's in place, okay. That will be a Bridges Avonshine project tomorrow, and when do you think we can get the letter in the mail? By the afternoon?
Probably have
Do it tomorrow.
addresses for most of them, so we can email it unless you
And we'll
want to be
send it to the ones that stated their name and address in that level 3 hearing.
we'll do it.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Ms. Timmerman.
Thank you, Mr.
President.
Avishon. Okay, last item under reports will be data points. Dr. Kane?
If you remember from last year, once the board adopted goals, we started working on data points. We would back up, okay, if this is the ultimate goal, what does this look like as you back it up? We're practicing tonight on one goal because Dr. Holt is new at this. Ms. Mott was in a different capacity last year, and Dr. Averett is a transferring, and you have to be here 5 years before you're official. So we took the goal.
You're still a transfer.
That's me too. I got 1 year on him though. No, I guess not. If I was an interim, I probably don't. We're in the same boat. But we took the goal of increasing the graduation rate, and obviously when you increase the graduation rate, it does not start at 12th grade, or it doesn't, not even 11th grade, you start in 7th grade. And so we looked at failure rates each 9 weeks. And hats off, Derek Zant, please stand up. It is wonderful. Stand up. Stand up, don't be shy. To have a middle school campus so focused on the first 9 weeks grades to try to ensure that every kid passes are beyond reason, everyone, all but the ones that didn't, there's nothing you can do about it. I don't know exactly what all he does. We're going to try to steal those ideas, but that campus is clear that zeros aren't permitted, not going to classes, not learning is not permitted. And now Global and Finley and Howard and the high school are close behind them and working on it. I know Miss Harris, and once she sees this, she has already probably texted 15 people. But hats off to everybody who worked on this. Dr. Averett, good job on analyzing it, working it out. And next month, I think Dr. Holt's got us lined up for some district common assessments. So unless there's any questions about this report?
Any questions for Dr. Kane on the data points? No? Okay, that moves us into our consent agenda part. The agenda, we have items A through G. Board, as you know, we can take these individually, all in one motion, or if there's one or two that you would like to remove for discussion, however the board desires to move forward.
I just have one question.
Okay, which item?
On C, is that the same voting system that was used in the this recent election? Do y'all know? The November election?
Ultimately, we will be utilizing the county, and so, yes, the same voting systems the county used for the most recent November election will be the systems that are used. That is a combination of electronic and paper. It's the electronic system that prints out paper so that you then have a paper trail. Several states had issues with solely electronic systems that didn't have a paper trail, and our county used the system that has both the electronic system that then produces the paper ballot that you then feed into the machine.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items A through G.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Ms. Kriegel, second by Mr. Rogers. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 7-0. We don't have any action items on our agenda, and before I adjourn, I do have one other thing I'm going to mention. I believe that the person on your cabinet, Dr. Kane, had a birthday this weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
Yes.
Anyone's name we'd recognize?
Oh, I'm sure. Mr. Auvenshine turned the whopping 42.
The big 4-2.
Right.
He doesn't look a day over 32. Is that what the beard's for? Is to
Well, I think he's growing the beard because he went to the Baylor game and he didn't have any hair to pull out, so he wanted to pull out the beard. So happy birthday this weekend, Mr. Auvenshine.
Happy birthday, Mr. Auvenshine.
All right, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
Motion by Mr. McCutcheon, second by Ms. Timmerman. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you very much. Hotel, Twister.
Ah, that's how he knows he's in Lions Club.